Yeah, so hi, I'm Michele. I'm your host and moderator of today's Use Case of the Month webinar. I'm a marketing manager at Decators now for roughly 1.5 years. And today we're going to talk about the sumUp for Jira. So sumUp for Jira is one of our apps, and we want to show you some real life use cases on of how to use and how to improve your analytics and reporting in Jira with sumUp. And the use cases we're showing you today are real life use cases which were brought to us by real customers through our customer support. So if you have any questions working with our apps, just feel free to ask any questions to our support. My colleagues there, they will love to help you with anything you have. And yeah, last thing to say from me to begin with is if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to just ask anything in the Q&A or the chat. We do have a few minutes of spare time at the end to answer any question. And that's basically it from my side. And I'll hand over to my colleague, Barbara.
Okay, thank you very much, Michele. And also for me, again, a warm welcome to our Use Case of the Month webinar on sumUp Cloud Gadgets. And as with Michele already said, with all our use case webinars, these are like real life inspired use cases from real customers. Hello from me, my name is Barbara. I'm a Lesson Solutions consultant with Decators for a little bit more than 2 years now, and I'm also a product owner for one of our apps. So I hope I'm uniquely qualified to tell you about what makes sumUp great today. Before we actually get to the use cases I brought with me today, I will give you a short introduction to sumUp, but after that I will dive right into the use cases. And I brought 4 use cases, each of which will feature one of the 4 gadgets that sumUp provides to get better insights in your dashboards. And starting off, I'll show you how to get a better overview on blocked issues using the sumUp filter results gadget. And in this use case, this will also demonstrate how our gadgets are compatible with custom fields from other apps by utilizing a field that was created with our app Smart Fields. Following that, the second use case will focus on how to get consolidated info from, in this case, subtasks with the use of our sumUp grouped filter results gadget. And the last 2 use cases will show how you can use our gadgets to keep a better eye on workload and work time distribution in your team with the sumUp 2-dimensional filter statistics gadget and the work log report. So let's get a little bit more into detail. So what is sumUp? As already mentioned, sumUp provides 4 gadgets in the cloud for your dashboards that help you gain new insights by either improving on existing Jira gadgets with some instant summation or providing entirely new ways of accumulating the data from your filters. And they're very easy to set up because you can, as with normal gadgets, either use saved filters or choose a custom JQL and configure the JQL, and that way the issues basing under the gadgets directly in the dashboard gadget configuration, so you don't have to manage the filter and its permissions. And the summation of the sumUp gadgets works with number fields, but also with custom fields, with anything that you could sum up, whether that's custom field from third-party apps or, for example, even text fields that contain only numerical values. And the last thing that I would show you in the third and fourth use case especially is that the gadgets that we provide give you new ways to get insights on your workloads by using, for example, the work log report gadget. Now, let's look at the use cases. And for each of the use cases, I will give you a short introduction of the customer request behind the use case, and then show you both the solution and the gadget configuration that solves hopefully the customer's request, and then summarize everything with the small insights takeaway summary. So let's start with the first use case. This one was one of our customers coming to us saying, hey, can I use one of your gadgets to show a list of linked or blocked issues to get a good overview on the total amount of blocked issues that we calculate with a smart field? And the typical limitations that you would run here when using standard Jira functionality is that getting the number of blocked issues specifically for an issue is not like readily available. And then in the second step, even if you have those numbers, like summing those numbers up, summing some issue information up in an overview report is also not readily available. So let's take a look if we can help him with one of our gadgets. I will now show you the solution for the first use case using our filter results by sumUp gadget in the upper left corner of this dashboard here. In contrast to the native filter result gadget right beside it, the sumUp one includes a totals row at the bottom, automatically summing up any eligible fields. In this case, we included the blocked issues field in our filter result table, and this smart field dynamically calculates the number of issues blocked by any particular issue. For example, in this case, the UCD 124 issue blocks 3 other issues. The sum at the bottom considers all issues in the filter results, not just the one shown on the first page here. This way, with a single glance, we get a good overall impression of how many issues are blocked by the issues from this selection. The total row at the bottom can sum over any somewhat numerical field, including number custom fields provided by third-party apps like this one, or even text fields as long as those text fields only contain numbers. Now let's take a look at the configuration of our filter results by sumUp gadgets. This one is nearly identical to the configuration of the native filter results gadget with one important addition. Instead of actually selecting a filter from which to draw the issues to display, you can also pick the option to use a custom JQL and enter your search terms directly in the gadget configuration. This saves you the hassle of creating and managing your filter and its permissions to make sure that anyone looking at your dashboard actually gets all the results. After you put in your filter or JQL, you can select the fields you want to display as columns and the number of results, after which a second page is created in your gadget. And that's it for the gadget itself. But an important part of this use case is also this blocked issues field that we are showing. So let's take a look at the configuration of this field. This is a smart number field provided by the app Smart Fields, which lets you create fields that dynamically calculate some number, in this case, the number of blocked issues. And in this case, this is very similar to one of the examples that we provide in our editor, the return the number of unresolved blocking issues. So if we look at this example and apply it, the only difference that we have is that we're not looking for the blocking issues, but for the blocked issues. So instead of looking for the issues that the current issue is blocked by, we're looking for the ones that it blocks. And already have our dynamic number field that we want. Okay. Perfect. So as we could see here, the filter results gadget by sumUp improves on the native one by giving you more information in the same space with this additional totals row at the bottom, and it's automatically compatible with any or all selected summable fields. It's also very easy and flexible to set up. because you can adjust if you pick the direct JQL, because then you can adjust it much easier later on. And as we could see with the blocked issues field by our smart fields, this is also compatible with custom fields provided by third-party apps, if those are like number fields, or return some text that has numbers. And if you are interested in more use cases that you can solve with smart fields to get more information not on dashboards but directly in your issues, you can also look at our sumUp webinar, our smart fields use case webinar that we held a while back and that you can find on our YouTube channel. So now let's get to the next use case. In this case, our customer wants to keep track of the original estimates of subtasks and asks how we can group the totals to the parent's tasks. So just as creating a filter that returns all the subtasks is not enough. He wants to group them to the parent. And the standard limitation here is that this general grouping or grouping functionality for filter results is not supported by Jira. So we are like required to have some entirely new functionality here. And now let's see how we can help this customer out. Let's look at the solution for the second use case using our grouped filter results gadget. This gadget has no native Jira equivalent, so this does not only improve your dashboards, but allows entirely new insights. The gadget takes the issues returned by a filter, similar to the normal filter results gadget, and groups them by some field of your choice. And our customer wants to group up subtasks, so the relevant field to group by is the parent. But it could be nearly anything. It could be status, assignee, issue type, some custom option field, and so on. Then for each of those groups, all values in the selected fields are summed up and displayed in the gadget table. We want to keep track of the original estimates, so we included that field, and for comparison, the actual time spent on the issues. In addition, we have a column here at the end displaying the number of issues in the relevant group. In this case, the number of subtasks. So as an example, we can see that, for example, the tasks UCD 159 has 2 subtasks with a total original estimate of 2 hours, but there were already 3.5 hours spent on these 2 subtasks. So we might want to know why that is. Luckily, we can click on the number in the issues column to directly get to a JQL search returning the relevant issues. Let's take a look at the configuration of the grouped filter result gadget. Similar to a normal filter result gadget, you pick either a filter or the custom JQL to get your issues that the table is based on. Then you pick the columns to display, though here it only really makes sense to pick fields that can actually be summed up in some way. And then you pick the field to group the issues from the filter results by. Then you have also under the additional options down here, you can actually toggle on or off whether the last issue column provides these links directly to filter to the issue navigator search. And that's it. It's that simple. Okay, as we could see there, the group filter result gadget can group by parents, but it can also group over nearly any sensible field. So whether that's status or epic or sprint, or maybe some custom multi-select select field that you're using to keep track of some important information in your issues. All those can be used to group over, and then all summable fields are automatically summed up for the group and then in the totals line overall. And this additional, for clarity, helps and counts the issues in the groups so that you can see where those sums are coming from. And this is all information that you cannot get in another way with native Jira. And as with all the gadgets, it's very easy and flexible to set up and compatible with custom fields or number fields from third-party apps. Okay, now let's get to the use cases, demonstrate how you can keep a better look on your team's workload. In this case, our customer said, hey, I want to sum up story points for each assignee and epic with a two-dimensional filter statistics gadget, but group them by epic name groups all under a single none group. How can I return the epics for all the issues that are being summed up? And the two-dimensional filter statistics gadget by sumUp has a Jira equivalent. There is a two-dimensional filter statistics gadget in native Jira, but that one can only count issues. So what our customer wants to do here, get an overview over the story point sums for the different assignees in the different epics, is not something that you can do with the normal two-dimensional filter statistics gadget. But let's see how the solution here looks like that makes our customer hopefully happy. This use case showcases the two-dimensional filter statistics gadget by sumUp. It improves significantly on the Jira default version of this gadget with the same name. Our customer wants to get an overview over the story points, but the default Jira gadget can only count issues. With the sumUp variation, we can pick any number field to sum over and two other fields to group by on the X and Y axis. In our use case, we sum up all the story points from the issues returned by the underlying filter, grouped by assignee and epic. For example, among the issues returned by the underlying filter, the ones assigned to Cassie Owens in the big new feature epic amount to a total of 13 story points. And if you mouse over, you can also see how many underlying issues there are, in this case, 2. Let's take a look at the configuration of the two-dimensional filter statistics gadget. As with all the gadgets, you can either pick actually a filter or a custom JQL to more easily reconfigure a gadget later on. And then the most important part of this gadget is the field to sum up, in our use case, the story points. To group, we chose the epic and the assignee, and the field that the epic for an issue is actually saved in is the epic link, not the epic name that our customer in the use case used. So this way, the grouping by epic actually works. And down here, we can again configure the maximum size of the table on one page, whether the gadget auto refreshes, and whether we want to have issue navigator links behind the numbers in the table. And that's it. Okay, as you could see there, again, similar to the group filter results gadget, just twice, we can group here over nearly any sensible field. And the most important part is that you can not just count issues, but sum up your chosen field. And this can be a good way to track, for example, workload with story points or estimates, time estimates. But it can, for example, also help you with budgeting or get budget information if you store this info in some tickets and want to sum it up to get an overview. So this is especially helpful for workload tracking, but of course has other uses as well. And as with all our gadgets, it's easy and flexible to configure and compatible with number custom fields from third-party apps. So we're already at our last use case for today. In this case, the one featuring the workload report. So our customer wants to see some two-dimensional statistic for the time spent by users in different projects. But when he tries to use the two-dimensional filter statistics gadget, he says that he can only group by assignee and thus does not reflect who actually logged the time. And that's actually like the standard Jira limitation for the two-dimensional filter statistics gadget, but for most gadgets, that these gadgets can only access like issue fields because they work on the issues. But this does not reflect if multiple people, different people logged time on the same issue. This is not reflected by that because we are only accessing issue fields or not the work log entries themselves. And our work log report gadget changes that. The solution for the last use case utilizes the unique work log report gadget. This looks similar to the two-dimensional gadget, but there are important differences. First, instead of some number field on the issue, it sums up the time logged in work log entries. Second, these work log entries are always grouped by the work log author on the left. This way, you can keep track of the work done by different people on the same issue or issues. Lastly, the work log report only considers work logs from a certain time period, which you can see down here. This is dynamic, as we'll be able to see when looking at the configuration later. The grouping at the top is optional, but our customer wants to group by project, and you could also group by sprint, epic, etc. Let's take a look at the configuration of the work log report gadget. As with the other gadgets, we first pick an underlying filter or define a custom JQL to define which issues the report draws its data from. In addition, we pick a period, which can either be one of a few fixed dynamic periods like last week or current month, or a custom period where we define a dynamic or static start and end date. So in this case, we draw the data from 1 month ago to 1 week in the future. As our work log gadget draws the work logs from the issues returned by the underlying filter, this means that this will consider the work logs from the last month, basically. In addition, we pick this optional group by. If you don't want to group by anything and just want to get the work logged by the authors, then you can pick none. But in our case, our customer wants to group by projects, so we do that. And then there are two versions of computation strategy which affect the loading time of the gadget, but are not really relevant for small numbers. As always, we can deactivate the issue navigator links behind the numbers in the table, and that's it. Okay, to summarize this last use case, the work log report is a very handy and unique tool that allows you to actually filter or group the logged work log entries by work log author and get your information on the work you people do very precisely. And it can, but does not have to group by a second metric. For example, you could, instead of doing a project based, you could also see how people worked in different sprints if you group by sprint, or for different components in your project. And this allows you easy reporting on the Jira work logs of your team, so you can see who maybe has too much to do there, or is prioritizing his work not as you would like it. And this is very flexible due to both the JQL configuration and the dynamic date range that you can pick, so that the data that you have on your gadget is always like the most current one that you want to have, and you don't have to adjust it every now and then. And for the end, I brought you, in addition to the use cases, two kind of sneak peeks into additional features of the sumUp for Cloud app. One of them is already in beta for a while, so you can try it out today. And it's one of our most requested features from on-prem to be bring into cloud. And this is the option to sum up number fields directly in the issue navigator. So if you search for a selection of issues in the issue navigator, then you can click on the sumUp logo above or find sumUp in the apps drop-down menu if you already have the new issue search. And then you get the results of your search with a handy totals row at the bottom. So you can get instant report result there and don't need to, for example, export into Excel. And the other one that I brought is a sneak peek into our upcoming feature coming up in the next quarter, where we improve how we handle date fields and allow you to group by date fields in a granularity of your choosing. So for example, if you want to group by due date, you will probably not want to group only issues from the exact same date together, but maybe ones from the same week or the same month. And with our new and improved date range handling, you will be able to do exactly that. In addition, with some UI improvements that we also bring you to freshen up the gadget that we have a little bit. That's all I had for you today. If you have any more questions, then you are free to look at our documentations, of course, where you find everything that there is to know about sumUp Cloud or sumUp on-premise, or of course, contact our awesome support portal. And then maybe if your request is interesting, it will show up in one of our future webinars. If there are questions right now, of course, you are free to ask them.
All right, then let me jump in again. Yes, first of all, thank you very much, Barbara, for your amazing session you provided us with. And yes, any attendee of you, Steve, okay. Would you like to explain your question with the mic? Is it rather like complex one? And I can just open up your mic and you can ask your question. Just a second. No mic. So, Steve, you should now be able to unmute yourself if you're with your question. Steve, any question you have? Are you currently writing, or how can you help? How can we help you, Barbara? Okay, mic's not working. You should be able to.
Or you could just write down your question and I'll try to answer it that way.
Yes, either that or go.
Yes, in the first use case that I used the smart field, a smart field to count the blocked or the blocked issues. Because that's not information that's like directly available in the issue usually.
I think you're typing again. Wait.
Smart Fields is a separate app. I use that app to demonstrate how sumUp is compatible with third-party custom fields. So Smart Fields, the app Smart Fields is available in the cloud, but we have a similar functionality on-prem in our app Jira Workflow Toolbox. But there are also some variation of specific sumUp calculated fields in the on-prem version. So depending on what exactly you want to do, you might have to like take Jira Workflow Toolbox on-prem. They're called not smart fields, but calculated fields. If you if you're like interested in more use cases there, we already had a use case webinar on smart fields, I think 2 months back. On Data Center, this functionality is part of our Jira Workflow Toolbox.
Okay, I hope that this answers your question or your questions.
Yeah, that's a paid app. If that's the question, that's not a free app.
Okay.
But it also provides you much more than just those calculated fields.
Yeah, so Jira Workflow Toolbox is the best rated app on the Atlassian Marketplace currently, and
you might already have it on your system.
You might have it, and if not, you should have a look because it does really help you a lot with workflows and customization and all that. So, okay, no problem. Since we're already 2 minutes over time, if you've got any further questions, as I said in the beginning, just feel free to head over to our support and ask them your questions about the apps that you have. And that's basically it from our side. The next webinar will be in January, so there won't be a use case month webinar in December since it's Christmas for us. And yes, thank you very much, Barbara, for the session again. And one more question for the attendees, if you might stay in for a few more seconds and just answer this very, very quick poll. We love your feedback on how you enjoyed it and how we might improve in 2024. Great. Thank you very much for joining. Have a great evening, morning from wherever you're looking at, and goodbye.